Hey everybody, this is my 20-gallon Angelfish tank I have down here in my fish room. And not long ago I was looking at it. I think I was shooting my around the world video, and as I was standing here looking at the tank, it occurred to me how much I don't like that piece of wood sticking through the tank like that. When I first set this tank up, I had done so with the intention of making it a tank for my red-clawed crabs. And I also wanted to put a lot of fish in it, and I was trying to find a compromise that would allow the crabs to get out of the water, but not really be a tank that had a lot of land area in it. And so what I wound up doing was putting that piece of wood in there, and the idea was with the water level just below the surface of that wood, the crabs would have a place to crawl up and out of the water if they wanted. I didn't think that was suitable habitat for a crab, but it was my idea of a compromise. In the end, I decided ultimately that that was not an adequate compromise, that just was not going to be good enough for the red-clawed crabs. They need more land than simply a piece of wood that they can get out of the water and crawl up onto, you know. So I scrapped the idea altogether, and I did something different with my red-clawed crab tank. But that piece of wood just kind of ended up staying there, and this tank sort of became this angelfish tank, and I never really redesigned it to suit the angelfish. I've just left it with that piece of wood sticking in the middle like that. So the other day I decided that I'm done with it, I'm going to move it. I do like having wood in the tank, and I think that wood has a lot of potential. I just don't like where it is and how it's in there, so I don't know if I'm going to remove it or reposition it. The rocks in the bottom are only positioned like that to accommodate the wood, so in theory I could get in there and change those around and redo the rockscape on the bottom. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I kind of like the rockscape in there. I don't know, we'll see. It's just, you know, it's just sort of occurring to me that I can change this tank up any way I want, because it was never set up for the fish that are in there right now. It was set up for something completely different. And so we're just going to get in there and tinker and see what it turns into. So I'm going to call this your before. Alright, and there's your after. So not a huge change, but a significant difference in the way that looks. I really like it this way a lot better. All I did was, well, I did a water change and I wiped the glass down. But while the water was changing, I went ahead and took the piece of wood out of there, and I flipped it over so the part you can see in the back tucked into the rocks now, that was the part that was up top. And then this end I just cut at an angle so that it would lay flat on the bottom and more or less tuck into that Java fern. And then I took the final chunk that I cut off and simply laid it on its side. And then I rearranged that one rock there to kind of hide the sawed off end of the wood so it doesn't look so unnatural. And I actually like the additional rock structure there. It gives you a little more three-dimensional effect down there on the bottom. But it really opens up the top of the tank and gives it plenty of swimming around room. It's going to make doing my water changes a lot easier. And all in all, I just think it looks a lot better. So this is probably one of the tanks that some of the fish that are in my quarantine tank are going to go in. I've got a couple of neon swordtails in this tank already, so I don't know if I want to add the additional neon swordtails I've got and have just a whole group of them in here, or do I want to put them in other tanks and then I can mix it up. I do have some other live bearers that I could put in this tank, so I'm not really sure how that's going to go. But anyway you slice it, make sure you're subscribed, and then that way you won't miss whatever I do to this tank. And don't forget, of course, this one is my 20-gallon Angelfish tank. So thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.